networker is like a great interviewer.
I'm huge on authenticity, guys. It's a big part of my message.
Claim your local listings and don't get caught paying someone for your local listing.
If you want to be successful, you got to do 6 things 1,000 times, not 1,000 things 6 times.
And when in doubt, give to other people and don't expect anything in return. But in giving to other people and helping them, it almost always comes back.
It's using the power of partnership, creating trusted partner networks to work with you to make your company be an offer more than just you.
They've done 90% of the work. It's your job to do the last 10% to meet them in the middle.
Don't let the fear of losing be greater than the excitement of winning. Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Ask Valor Masterminds podcast, brought to you by Advanced Septic Services and Fuse Networks. My name's Galen.
Good morning, I'm Joe.
We're coming at you virtually from the BD Local Studios in Tacoma, Washington. So Joe, before we introduce our guests, for our new listeners and viewers tuning in, can you tell everyone how our podcast came to be, please?
Sure. So it first started out as a private Facebook group page, and the purpose was to bring business owners together to kind of just communicate and talk to one another, ask questions as it relates to business, kind of help build each other up. And we thought, what a better way than to convert that into a podcast where we could bring on different guest speakers to talk about all different topics as it relates to business in some form or fashion, where they can get a couple of key nuggets from the guests and then go implement that into their business.
Awesome. So our previous episode, we had Jason Hyland, and I kind of fan crushed him a little bit because I'm a client of his. He's a golfer and everything. But can you give a quick takeaway from our previous episode when Jason was on that struck you?
So we had him on because we wanted him to share his story about customer service and how he approaches customer service. And the thing that brought him on is he still gives his cell phone number in a thank you card for people who purchase like golf clubs from him. So I thought that was just crazy that a CEO of a company would provide their contact information, let alone their cell phone. So really the big takeaway for me was just allowing your customers' voices to be heard if there are any issues.
Right. And it's a genuine connection. He's the number one direct-to-consumer golf brand, and he still does handwritten cards and everything. So, which is a good transition to today's guest. So we go from building world-class customer service, but what goes with customer service is, of course, like world-class branding. So I think it's a topic that's essential for our businesses as we close out the year going into 2023. So today's guest, Sabah Ali, thank you for joining us today.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. So I'll just just give a quick intro. So business coach, entrepreneur, food lover, fashion junkie, speaker. Over the last few years, he has assisted hundreds of passionate individuals clarifying their passion, skill set, brand, marketing strategy, and sales process to create an unforgettable business online. She's the #1 best-selling author of the book Enrolling in Confidence, which is available on Amazon, a keynote speaker, has contributed or has been featured in publications such as TEDx, which you're a 2-time TEDx talker, NBC News, ABC News, CBS, Thrive Global, Accelerate Magazine, Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization, Iowa State Daily, and many more. Also on the cover of Inc. magazine, creating unforgettable brands. Please welcome Sabah to today's podcast.
Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm so happy to be here because I love speaking about branding and all things social media. So I'm excited to get started.
Awesome. So before we go on, besides a brand, a foundational piece that we believe in is in our website. So Joe, can you give a quick tidbit or a quick plug for our hashtag Valor Cares initiative?
Yeah, so the purpose of our Valor Cares initiative is to really just give away free website builds. So if you own a business and let's say you're brand new and you need a website, or maybe you've even been in business 50 years and you need a new website, we're happy to have you submit your information. And then we pick, 1 or 2 winners every single month. And we just are happy to be able to give out free websites to businesses around the country.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Joe. Now we come to our Advanced Septic Pump You Up quote of the day. So this is the part of our segment. I ask guests for like a motivational quote, and usually they quote someone else, but Sabah's quote is something she did herself. So an original quote. So I'll read it and then get your thought. Know you have the ability to do anything in life. No one is going to stop you besides yourself. So Mr. Captain Obvious, here you go. You read it. It is there. But tell us a little more insight on why you selected that quote for today.
Yeah, I love this quote because it's actually also on the back of my book. And this is a quote that is really near and dear to my heart because for me, before I ever got started in building a business, becoming a coach, helping clients build their brand, make money on social media, for me, the longest time was just getting out of my own way to even just feel happy every single day. And I know a lot of people, they want to go out and create a business or be in a loving relationship or do something that's beyond what they think is possible for their life. And at the end of the day, for me, going through this journey of entrepreneurship and personal development, what I realized was the main reason why people are unable to do these things isn't because of other people or external environment or anything like that. It really just is themselves. So I love that quote and I live by it every single day.
So was there a moment in your life that, like, the final impetus to really like follow it? Because a lot of people read quotes, you read different things, positive thoughts of the day, you could have a calendar thought of the day, but to really like live it, was there something that flicked the switch for you then?
I want to say it wasn't like one specific moment, but it was a built of like moments and experiences. And for me, like a lot of people know that I got like started in like building my brand, posting on social media when I was in college. So I want to say like all throughout my college career, that's also when I wrote my book. It was cool to see all of the opportunities that I could do at such a young age. And a lot of people thought they couldn't do those things just because they were young or they didn't have the expertise. But for me, when I started to do those things that were like well outside of my comfort zone, I realized that like this quote was so true, right? Because a lot of people do hold themselves back because they think they need other resources or people, or they need to be a certain age or have a certain like skill set or expertise to do those things. But in reality, just really going out there and making it happen.
Yeah,
Can
that's
I
really
ask you a
cool.
quick question real quick before we move forward? You
Yeah.
mentioned something about while you're in college, you published your first book. Can you
Yes.
explain how someone who's in college has the time to also write and publish their own first book?
Yeah, so funny that you asked me that. I actually also did it in 30 days. So one of my good friends who actually helped just support me in writing this book, she inspired me to do it. She's somebody who helps people write and publish best-selling books. And for me, the longest time I wanted to write a book, but once again, like back then I was like, okay, like I have to be like a certain age or I have to do something like extremely amazing in order to write a book. But I just more so did it to prove to myself that I could do it, but also that was like the first product that really helped me like explode my brand. And it was mainly just like discipline, right? Like I made time every single day to write part of my book. And the way that I did it, which will probably be a perfect lead into like branding and building that, online presence, is I included my audience as I was doing it. So I told my audience, hey, I'm going to write this book. I'm going to do it in 30 days. And they basically also held me accountable, right? Because it's one thing to tell ourselves, hey, we're going to go write a book. But it's another thing to tell our audience and include them with us in the journey. And when I launched it, it was amazing because I already had a lot of backers, which allowed me to hit bestseller on Amazon.
Right.
Sweet,
It's almost
congrats
you
on
had
that.
stakeholders kind of pre-built in when the book launched. Well,
Yeah.
we'll get into that a little more. But so now we come to our Fuse Networks Did You Know segment. So make sure you avoid this malware spreading version of WhatsApp. As one of the world's most popular messaging applications, WhatsApp is a well-known tool, even in the business world. More notable is that WhatsApp, a platform known for its end-to-end encryption and security, now has a modified and unofficial version called Yo WhatsApp, which has been deploying malware to unsuspecting users. So just be careful out there, guys, and contact Fuse Networks for a free consultation. So I asked Sabah for a couple myths and trends, and we got a couple of each as we get into kind of building unforgettable brands. So for this first one, let's get her expertise on this. Branding isn't important to grow a successful business. So take that one away, please.
Yeah, I hear this one a lot. And what I want to start off by saying is I feel like a lot of people misinterpret what a brand really is. At its just like core and surface level, people think branding is just logos and colors and websites, which it is, but there's a lot more depth to it. The way that I love to explain branding is you have like external and you have internal branding. So external branding is what you see on the outside, the colors, the logos, the images, websites, graphics, all the things. But then you also have internal branding, which is more about the messaging, the mission, the vision. And what I love to explain branding as is the feeling and experience that you're creating for your consumer. So when someone is either just starting a business, they're like, oh, like branding isn't important, or even scaling because they think it's just like colors and everything. But in reality, there's a lot more depth to it. And by no means am I saying like external branding isn't important. It is, but like, think about it. When you go into like your favorite store, the reason why you go back and keep shopping isn't because of the colors. I'm assuming not. It's probably because of the feeling and experience you actually feel when you walk into that store. So yeah, I feel like if people like, when I hear people say branding, it's not important, I'm assuming they don't understand the full depth and the definition of what it really is.
Right. I think that's pretty key is that you have to think of it as the whole customer experience almost. So with our previous guest with customer service, part of his branding and messaging is being genuine with your customers. And if that's who you are as a company, a brand, you have to convey that. So this myth, being attractive is the only way to build a massive brand. So talk to us about that one, please.
Yeah, I get a lot of comments about this specific subject. First of all, because a lot of people look at me and they look at me as like an attractive young female. So that's why I've been able to successfully build an online business. But when I look at the word attraction, it really is just justified by the specific individual. People look at me and be like, oh, she's attractive, while other people think I'm not, right? So when I think about building a brand, once again, it goes back to what type of feeling and experience are you creating for your audience? It just so happens I attract a lot of younger people who look up to me because they see some part of me in their future vision, right? So that's why I'm able to attract that demographic, right? And in the same time, you have people like Elon Musk. For me, I don't see him as an attractive individual, yet he's built that amazing brand. So I don't want to say it's less about your definition of how you look at yourself in that like attractive way, but it's more about the type of persona that you actually want to create and show up online as. Because once again, there are so many people on social media and there are so many people who will, share comments and hate and judgment towards other people. But at the end of the day, it's like, if you have a message that you want to share, you can build a brand just specifically on that message and that feeling that you want to create.
What happens when like a brand goes through like a pivot? Like, all right, I was known for this for so long, or something negative happens, and you want to try to move away from that. So you're so unattractive, right? You're the complete opposite. What would you tell like a business owner, like in pivoting, like what to do? Like, are there like two things you would do first if you want to like pivot, or someone gets a bad review, like they kicked me out because, someone didn't tip, and then the YouTube video was posted and now it's viral. Like, oh goodness, how does like a restaurant or brand recover from that?
Right. Yeah. I feel like it really depends on the situation and what it is. Like, I have a lot of people that just like have like hate comments and they'll judge on what I say. And like a lot of the things that I say on social media, it's true at my core. And some of the things people can some of the things that I say, it's very opinionated. So some people will agree and some people won't. So if it's something like that, I don't feel like you need to address it because that's your own truth, right? That's also a part of building a brand. That's also a way that people market is very, I can't think of the word right now, but it's very black and white, right? It's like you want to bring that type of adversity into your content, because that's how you draw attention to you. On the flip side, if something like that happens that's like negative, and you know that it could affect your audience, your clients, like your actual brand as a whole, I would just address it. And there isn't anything like huge or big or monumental you have to do about it. Simply just going on social media, jumping on, doing a live, and be like, hey, this is what happened. I just want to clear it up, and honestly move on. I feel like one thing that a lot of people don't necessarily talk about when it comes to building a brand on social media is having the emotional intelligence to let go of things that happen to your brand and to your business. When you put so much meaning towards other people's opinions about you, that's where I see people starting to spiral, and then they stop showing up, and they stop showing up in their own way because of these other comments.
So like what Adidas did with Kanye.
Yeah.
Like anti-Yeezy, whatever, cancel, yay, or whatever. All right, let's move forward. So now we'll talk about some trends. So personal branding is just getting started in its potential on social media. So if you've obviously built a successful business and something that just launched that you have going with this, talk to us about just getting started in its potential.
Yeah. And I remember I said this to my audience, to my close friends years ago. This is probably back in like 2017, 2018. And that's where, like, once again, I started by preaching like build a brand. And I remember back then I said something like personal branding, just wait a few years from now, everyone will be talking about it. That's why you need to build one right now. And I feel like we're still in such the beginning stages of people building personal brands and monetizing it and building such great, like, big businesses around it, is because like platforms like TikTok, right? People can build a personal brand overnight, literally overnight, go viral, and be able to build a business around it, monetize it, start, a charity around it, like do so much. So like personal branding at this point now, in this day and age, it's not even an option anymore. I want to say it's mandatory, because even if you're building a business where you're not like the front face of it, like if you're an agency or a service provider and you just provide like services, people will still resonate more with the story in a face rather than a business. So whether it's you or you have like an ambassador or like, a spokesperson for your business, you need to have that type of like personal touch, so that way your audience can make a deeper connection to the product and of course your story.
So for layman's terms, what is a personal brand?
Yeah, so a personal brand is basically building your own influence around your value and your own mission, right? So basically when you see personal brands on social media, usually they also have a business, and that business connects with the mission that they're actually sharing.
Awesome. So this is a good segue. Personal brand is growing 100 times faster than business brand. So this just tees you up for this. So you have your business brand, but then the personal brand, I assume that you'd have to align, what the company is, but then you still have your personal voice to your audience. Talk to us about why that growth factor is so high.
Right. Yeah. And basically just leading into what I was saying is people connect with stories. They connect with faces, like visually with eyes and a smile. They connect through experience. And when I look at social media, especially like TikTok and Instagram, of course, Facebook too, like those type of platforms, when I follow personal brands, influencers, big businesses, the reason why they're growing so fast is because they treat their social media like their own reality TV show. And that's why people watch, because they're always waiting to see, what is he going to do next? What is she going to do next? Like, what is she going to wear tomorrow? What is she going to eat? Like, it's so small of like a detail, but people love to see that, because there might be somebody on social media who wants to buy a specific product, and then they see their favorite like influencer or someone they follow go do these different activities, and they connect to those activities. And when they share the product, they're like, oh, like I should use that product too, because I relate with him or her on like these 3 different points. right? So if you didn't have that sort of persona and brand online and all you did was share the product, there wouldn't be like a real connection onto there. So I'm not saying like don't build a brand around your business. Like you can definitely have that. And I recommend having that. But I always say like use your personal brand as like the vehicle to get people in, and from there you can build your business brand.
So the flip side of that then is that just means the audience is so hungry to consume content that isn't out there or that they're looking for. So like
Oh
if
yeah.
there's that much demand, you only grow it 100 times faster because people are looking for that. Like, for example, like I want someone that looks like me using this product, you know, like, all right, I need this, or, you know, like people talk to me because like the generic Super Bowl ads are like to everyone, but people, you want to get hyper focused with, I relate to this person or this, I have a specific need, right? So
Yeah.
awesome. So let's get into it now. Building unforgettable brands. So I guess we'll start for our audience, you know, for the everyday entrepreneur, small business owner, marketing person out there. What goes into building a good brand?
I love this question. There's so much that goes into like producing a brand, but honestly, like the main thing that pops into mind is content, right? Because in order for you to showcase your values, your mission, what you're really about, you have to produce content. So for me, like when I look at branding and when I look at other personal brands and businesses, it goes back to like that feeling and experience they're creating, but that's only possible through content. So it just really depends on what your goal is when it comes to building a brand. I know some people, their goal is to just spread like motivation and inspiration. And for them, it's simply showing up every single day and providing different, you know, pieces of advice and tips to their audience. So that way they just feel good every single day. Like there's people that I follow on TikTok where they just share, like literally that's what they do every single day. They're not monetizing it, but they have millions of followers and that's what they love to do. Versus somebody else, their goal is to help people, you know, be in like the best shape of their life ever. So for them, they produce a lot of educational content. They produce entertaining content. They produce, you know, content that shares a story, because all three of those things will connect with the current audience that they want to be bringing in, and of course, converting into clients to buy their products and their offerings. So if I were to like zone into what type of content to produce, basically the top three that I just mentioned, like educational content, teaching your audience something, so that way they have a reason to continue coming back to your profile. Number two, entertainment. We need more light and fun on social media. Sometimes in this industry where people are trying to build a business, it's like very serious. I feel like that's where people need to bring in their personality a little bit more. So entertaining content. And then the last one is storytelling content. And with storytelling content, this can also tie in, you know, with client transformations and results and experiences. And this is where you can really have such a deep connection and relationship with your audience, because they feel like they know you, even though they've never met you before.
So besides the different types of content you're gonna for your brand, what are some other key factors in building a brand? Like, I think you mentioned in the beginning, you did mention some things in the beginning, but
Yeah. So the other thing with building a brand is sometimes, once again, people will be on social media and be like, okay, I want to build a brand, but they don't even know what the brand is for. So you can be multi-passionate about a lot of different things, but zoning into what does your brand actually stand for is what you want to get clarity on. So that's mainly like the identity of your brand. And basically, if it's a personal brand, the identity of yourself, like what's your goal of being on social media? Is it to be famous? Like, okay, what's the end result of you being famous? Like, how is that going to happen? Right. And like with branding, there's so many pieces to it, because like sometimes people think like, okay, do this, this, and this to build a brand, but it's not that simple. There's so many moving pieces that you need to have in place to like have this come into your fruition. But with brand identity, like think about the top three things that you want to be known for. right? And write that down. And every single piece of content, every single video that you put out, every single podcast show and interview that you go on, it'll tie back to these three core things. And that's how you start to build also that feeling and experience for your audience. And that's also, you know, an easier way to create content because you always create it around those top three things.
Can you build a brand without social media?
Not in this day and age, honestly, I don't think so. I had to think about it for a second. Like, I'm sure you can, but it's going to take you a lot longer. And for me, I'm all about how can I reach like an insane amount of people. The only way you can do that right now is on social media.
Right. So when you work with clients or clients first work with you, what are the top two mistakes people do wrong when they think they're branding?
Once again, they focus only on the external. So they'll spend so much time on like colors, logos, making everything look like visually right and appealing. And they will show up in a very structured and like professional way. Like they think they need to be somebody else when they show up on social media, when in reality, you just have to be you. And that's like one of the biggest mistakes that I see. Like they take too long to like even put out a piece of content because they're so focused on the external brand. And then number two, they act like a completely different person on social media. And I laugh because like I work with my clients like closely. So I'll be on a call with them and I know how they are. Then the second we get off a call, I see them on social media. I'm like, that's not you. Like, this is where I see you need to like, let go of like the perfectionism, but also let go of controlling the outcome. I feel like so many people are like this on social media, like they're not even moving because they're trying to control an outcome of getting clients, getting followers, making money. But like in reality, when you show up on social media, like you should just be able to talk and like words will come out because that's like your truth. And that's how I've always built my business is what do I feel like saying right now that connects with the higher purpose of me helping people. And that always just comes out in terms of an offer that I might be selling or a program or a training or whatever it is that I want to be promoting at that moment.
So am I hearing you say that people should just be the raw version of themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's always like a double-edged sword with everything that I say. But at the same time, it's like you also have to take yourself seriously. Right. Like people will be on social media and they won't have like the authoritative piece to them because they want to help everybody. So when you want to do that, like you end up helping nobody because there is no boundaries, there is no leadership, there is no structure.
Well,
So
like you said at the very beginning, your quote, the only person to stop you is yourself. Because almost 3 years ago, Joe and I were hesitant on starting this podcast journey, like trying to be so perfect. Now, 3 years later, here we go. And it's the let go component of it. So
I love that.
And it's almost like when you talk about how you feel, there's a Maya Angelou quote. I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And that kind of brand is kind of that transition piece to how you do it. So I know you recently launched something. I got the update because I subscribed to your the newsletter and everything. Can you tell us about that project and how people can contact you and everything?
Absolutely. I'm so excited about this. This is about, I want to say earlier this year, around like February, March, I had the pull to create something that would reach a broader audience, but also help a lot more people. For the longest time, I had offers and products and programs to help people basically scale their business. Yes, I've worked with people to help go from like 0 to 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, but I never really had anything to help like just the average person who wanted to learn how to build a brand on social media and how to monetize it, especially if you have a passion, you have a skill, and you have an expertise. And right now, just based on how the world is, like we're in a recession, the economy, like you can't rely on like a job or anything nowadays. So for me, I always thought about what can I do to help a greater amount of people basically make money so they never have to worry about not having it again. So I launched a membership. It's called Monetize Social Membership. And it's an ongoing membership that basically gives you every single thing that you need to monetize your passion and make money from it every single day using social media. It's extremely affordable. Those who have been following me know that I usually charge like extremely high premium prices, but this one's $47 a month. And it gives you everything A to Z, how to brand yourself, how to create content, how to monetize, the tech of how to set up and take payment, like every single thing that you need. You get daily support in a community, and then you also get Q&A calls with me throughout the month too. So I'm really excited for it. I want to say this is like the next branch of my business, because not only does it allow me to help more people, but I feel like this is beyond just helping people make multiple 6 and 7 figures, right? It's helping people become more comfortable in their lives so they can actually create something that makes them happy every single day when they wake up.
And if so, is this good for the everyday business, like your plumber, your roofer, your dentist, your estate planning attorney, pest control business?
Yeah. So this is for anybody who once again has a skill and expertise, a passion, and they want to monetize it on social media. So this is like digital on social media. So if you want to do something with like physical products, I don't recommend joining it. But if you do want to craft out a digital product or a service or do something with coaching or consulting, like I show you all the different ways that you can take your passion like offline and bring it online.
So you mentioned the one level of like $47. Is there other investment levels people can buy into so they get more value?
So right now, no, because I just launched it. That's probably another tier that I'll do later on. But there's 3 ways you can join: $47 a month. And then there is a 6-month and a 12-month option. So if you join one of those, it's basically a discount. Like you get like 1 month free and 2 months free.
Okay. So awesome. I have to ask, I know we're probably running out of time. I'm looking behind you and there's a bookshelf. Looking at your bookshelf, what's your favorite book to read on that shelf?
Yeah, so I don't even know if it's on my bookshelf right now. It might be by my bedside, but my favorite book that I literally recommend to everybody is A Happy Pocket Full of Money by David Gikandi. I swear I probably read that book like 10 times and I love it. To share a little bit about what it is, I am a junkie when it comes to law of attraction, and I've read every single book probably on the face of the earth, but this is the only book I found that actually describes how it works, not just what it is. So I highly recommend it. It's so good.
Check it out.
Awesome. So before we go, Joe, one last plug for our hashtag Valor Cares initiative, please.
Yeah, keep it simple. If you have a business and you're unhappy with your website or you just need a new website, visit our website, click on the Valor Cares tab and submit your information, and hopefully we'll pick your business next.
Awesome. So on behalf of our sponsors, Advanced Septic Services and Fuse Networks, Sabah, thank you. I mean, we could go on and on. This was great. Selfishly for me, I have a daughter that's about to go to college. So seeing someone young, a woman, person of color, accomplishing so much and not letting other things get in the way is like inspiring for me to share with my daughter. So, thanks for being a role model there. But it's just to share with our community that you have ways to share what you've learned with everyone else with the monetized social membership.com. So, my name's Galen.
I'm Joe.
I'm coming at you virtually from the BD local studios in Tacoma, Washington. Thanks for watching, listening to this episode of the Ask Valor Masterminds podcast. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.